Welcome to Find the Connection, the podcast where we explore the history, development, events, and stories that make Northeast Florida so inviting. I'm your host, Kendra Robertson, a real estate professional, community leader, wellness ambassador, and proud resident of Jacksonville Beach for over 30 years. In each episode, we'll dive into the stories of the people that are making a difference, both at a local level and nationally. We'll share an inside look at real estate with tips for maintaining work-life balance, from winning your mornings to winning your day, all while staying connected with our vibrant local community. So grab your coffee, get comfortable, and let's find the connection between community and living your best life. So today I have my friend Susie Streelman with me. She is the founder of Zero Proof Experiences, and she has created a community. I have been kind of watching her on this journey, and it's been such a pleasure. She has exposed me to so much, but yes, Susie, welcome. Thanks for joining me today.
It's so fun to be here with you, Kendra. How was your swim this morning?
Oh, the sunrise was amazing. Absolutely amazing.
That's amazing. How do you ever skip a day? You must skip a day once.
Very rarely. Yeah. I'm waiting for my daughter to go into labor, and I will be swimming down south in Stuart, Florida, but I don't know that I'll have the daily opportunity that I do here. So.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So let's just start with Zero Proof Experiences. How did this come about?
Okay, Kendra. Yeah, it's been a few years, and it's always funny. I feel like I've known you for quite a while. I think the first time we met was in Palm Springs, which would have been 2023. So for me, I decided to take an extended break from alcohol during the pandemic, which turned into super extended, like 5+ years. Who knew that was coming? I did not. I just decided that after about 6 months, I kind of liked it better over here on this side. You know, it took away all that headspace time of thinking about when am I going to have that one drink. I personally, I did cut back my drinking. Some people might have said pretty successfully for quite a few years, honestly. I had an experience with just slightly elevated liver enzymes quite a few years ago, and I kept a pretty watchful eye then for over a dozen years. And I think I didn't quite realize how watchful it really was. When I had about 6 months off from alcohol, I sort of thought, hey, wow, it's pretty cool over here. Number one, I don't have to think about, to your point of swimming every morning, I don't have to think about which days will be appropriate to do an early morning workout, if you get my drift. Something that, I did when I was younger, for no matter what, but I did start to notice that, yeah, if you had a few glasses of wine the night before, it was pretty tough to teach a spinning class or, do a long run. Anyhow, yeah, that was during the pandemic. We had a lot of people in our house. It was kind of actually a fairly good party scene, if I'm honest. Everybody was in a different boat, and for us, all the kids came home, and some other relatives came home, and we were having big group dinners every night, and you know what that's like.
Right.
So at a certain point, I just said, man, that's enough cookies, it's enough alcohol, we're just cutting back. And at the same time, Kendra, somebody just asked me this when we were on our trip to Germany, why did you do this? And in short, in the very shortest theory, it's really I was just mad that I couldn't go out to dinner. Right? I could go out to dinner, Kendra. I could, but it was actually quite stressful, particularly at that time, because, number one, I was used to socializing with family and friends who were used to seeing me drink. And, when you do drink, your friends are pretty much all drinkers too.
I remember in the beginning, how did you say it? I drink, but I drink differently, and I deserve a seat at the table. Did I say that right?
I love it. You're so on brand, Kendra. Yeah, I think I did share that at like our second event. I said, my name is Susie. I drink differently, and I would like a seat at the table with a pretty class. Thank you very much. And some of my local friends did hear that too, and they shared with me too. Like, maybe it wasn't 100%. Like, Susie, you are welcome at our table. But it definitely, I like to say it's probably good for all of us, right? On both
Hmm.
sides, because there was me navigating over here with friends and family that were very used to me drinking. And so, yes, when the orders did come around and it was Chardonnay, 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 Cabernet, and then I'll have a club soda, or, sometimes I would get my nerve up, study the menu ahead of time and be ready to order that lavender cocktail without the alcohol. And a lot of times it was not well received or well done in the restaurants. And
Right.
so it really was very uncomfortable. I think that's changing a lot, but our world is still pretty alka-centric, I would say.
Yeah.
A
Right.
lot of trends changing though, especially in the younger generation. So I had decided, Kendra, that I did not want to drink alcohol. And I had also believed for a long time, over 25 years for sure, that you could not have a full and complete life without drinking alcohol.
Yes. Alcohol was the guest of honor.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, and I remember, so we met through Sober Sis. Was Sober Sis like a turning point for you? Was that?
Yes, yeah, that was really, I mean, I had dabbled, honestly.
Mhm.
My first experience was Mr. James Swanwick, an Australian,
Mhm.
and he still runs a fantastic program. I did his 30-day challenge in 2017, Kendra.
Wow.
Yeah. And so he was kind of the first one to change a little bit the way I saw alcohol. And then, yeah, I worked with Jen Couch of Sober Sis around late 2020 as well. And, experienced real connection there and met a lot of people that were, I guess, a little bit more similar to me. I do honestly think another big reason for me, and I know everybody is different here, is in 2017, I wonder if I might have just kept going if there had been this buzz, if there had been the alcohol-free beverage industry coming up like it was. I mean,
Mhm.
it's just that's when it really started exploding, I think, in 2020.
Yeah.
Yeah, a big game changer for me. I don't. If you like to go out and drink water, I'm happy for you. But my opinion is water is not just fine. I'm not
Well,
just fine with water.
and I think it was William Porter's Alcohol Explained for me that really clinched it because one of the things in his books, Alcohol Explained, he said, don't give alcohol the credit for having fun. It's going out with your friends, it's going to dinners, doing things together. It's not the alcohol that's the fun. And I think looking back with the way you organize Sober in the City, you have exposed me to so many authors and so many stories. And in my journey and sharing my story, I've put together like a resource guide of communities and books and podcasts. And I would say a lot of them have come from you. I know Peggy Cooney with This Side of Alcohol. I met her before I met you. And
Yeah.
she became your chief connection officer. But like Ann Dowsett Johnson and Todd Kinney, I remember going, you mentioned Sober in the City in Palm Springs. I remember going and not really knowing what to
What it was going
expect.
to be. I
And
love
so
that.
when I went to Sober in the City in Tampa, I looked to see who you were having speaking. So I had read Becky Vollmer's book. I had read Todd Kinney's book. I was more prepared, because I remember Daniel Patterson was at Sober in the
Mhm.
City. And I had no idea who he was. I enjoyed his presentation. I enjoyed his, like following him after that. So thank you for just exposing me to life after alcohol. I think that's another thing that you had said with your ZPE, right? Okay, I'm done drinking. Now what? Right?
Yeah, that's so fun to hear. And I'm sure in your community, you're seeing a lot of ripples that are coming because really when you are brave enough, speaking of William Porter, I love William Porter, and I often used to repeat his mantra in the mirror because he used to tell me, Kendra, that you are brave and courageous in a world that sort of glorifies alcohol. You are brave and courageous going out. And yeah, so I love that. I forgot what I was going to say about that, but yeah. The ripple effect. So when you are brave and courageous, frankly, to step forward and say, I'm going to enjoy this dinner party with my friends without drinking alcohol, I think it absolutely does give courage for other people to do that. They are definitely watching. I'm sure you've seen that in your circle, as I have in mine.
Even in my own family, I remember one Christmas, I had found quite a few alcohol-free beverages that had the flavor profile that I was missing in a wine, or like instead of having the mocktails. And I remember Christmas Eve, nobody was really drinking alcohol. They were actually drinking the alcohol-free beverages that I had in the house, and I'm like, was I pushing alcohol on them in the past?
Maybe we
I mean,
were.
drinkers want drinkers to drink with someone, right?
They do. And again, kind of speaking back to the navigating forward with friends that are drinkers, now my friends and family are very used to it. There certainly was a time where, I was a pretend drinker. Like I did pretend to have something in my glass. That gig is definitely up for me at this
But
stage.
it's a good transition, I think. Like early on in my journey, I think I realized that I was coming home at the end of the day, pouring my glass of wine and decompressing. But when I gave up the alcohol, I realized I still needed to come home, sit down, and decompress. But when I changed what was in my glass, I actually got back up off the couch.
Yeah, and you could ding, ding, ding. Yes, I remember being alcohol free for a year and I didn't really know what to do to celebrate. Some of my friends were still, not really realizing, and I had to give them grace too because, I'd been sort of processing through all of this, kind of on my own. I didn't share it with everybody in my friend group. So I, when you think about it that way, you can't really be upset that they don't understand what's been happening in your life. So that's definitely taking some time. And again, I like to say it's been good for me to share, and it's been good for them too,
Hmm.
to experience, me in this way. And also, just getting used to, oh, okay, not everybody does drink alcohol every day.
That was also eye-opening. I remember going to a party before I really like came out and said, "Okay, I'm not drinking." And
Mhm.
I was like, "Wow, there's actually a lot of people that aren't drinking." And I never would have realized that.
And in fact, the latest poll just this year, I'm not sure if you saw that, but it's 54% of Americans drink alcohol right now in the US. So it's the
Really.
lowest number in, I want to say, at least 30 years.
I just love this sober, curious movement of giving it up. And my daughter is one of my daughters is one of those. She will be 3 years no alcohol this month. Yeah.
That's so
And
exciting.
and at her wedding, she had a mocktail bar, and it was interesting. Even at her bridal or the brunch before the wedding, I picked up alcohol-free champagne, and we had regular champagne, and pretty much all the alcohol-free was drank. You know.
And what a smart thing to do, right? Because I mean, that's a long day of wedding, and those girls need their energy for sure.
Well, and
Yeah.
I remember too, early on, that was a big thing for a lot of the women my age, and we're similar age, I think.
Yeah.
What, I want to have a glass of champagne at my daughter's wedding. And it's silly, like where I am now, like, there's so many options. And I remember saying to a friend, I'm like, you don't want your first drink in 6 months to be at your daughter's wedding, do you?
It does sound silly now, and yet, yeah, my son just got married, as you know, last month too, and I provided about 15 bottles of alcohol-free wine. We were busy. I'm not sure how many are left. I think there was some left, but we put it on the tables and it did go. Some people didn't realize that it was alcohol-free. I was very happy to have something nice to drink in my glass. And if I'm honest, yes, I would have been okay, but I would have been disappointed not to have something nice in my glass at a
Right.
special occasion. And maybe not. And I'm just going to go ahead and jump in because we did take the world's first non-alcoholic wine tour to Germany. And I've only been home just a few days. It was so exciting. It exceeded my expectations in every way. It's definitely, something I'm very proud of. I'm so excited that it happened because people stepped in and said yes. But for example, we went to the wine country in Germany, and they have, as you would expect, like in the Napa Valley, there's a wine bar at every corner. They call them Vinotheks in Germany. And almost all of them had a couple of alcohol-free options of wine that tasted good, Kendra.
Nice. So which winery actually was it one winery that hosted the wine tasting?
No, I collaborated with my good friend Darcy Murray, who is out of Canada, and she has started Hooked Alcohol-Free Travel. So she had been working on this trip for a while and, really had the groundwork done. We kind of got together and adjusted it a little bit. So we visited at least 6 wineries, like real, actual wineries where you could go
Wow.
there, not just a storefront, which that's all great too, but real wineries where they are working hard over there. They're, definitely, honestly, they're ahead of our game here in the United States. I think they have been on all of it, the alcohol-free options on menus, zero proof cocktails more. They have a lot of alcohol-free gin across Europe. So gin and tonic is a pretty common alcohol-free beverage. Wine. So just to, I mean, this is kind of what blew us away. The very first day that we got there, the winery was called Lights. And I have gotten to taste their wine before, so I knew it was good, but I didn't know that we would walk into this beautiful winery facility and have a long table that was all set up for us with snacks as if you would walking into any winery. And I've never been to such a long wine tasting because this winery named Lights in Germany had 12, I'm not joking, 12 varietals of alcohol-free wine.
Wow.
I mean, we were there for about 2.5 hours. I think we were all just like, oh my gosh, is this real?
Well, and I think I saw that they had dealcoholized like a 20-year-old bottle. Is that right? Did I hear
That
that
was
right?
that was actually at the last place that we went, which I think you've probably heard of because we were talking about it when we were together in Bali last year.
Hmm.
And that's when we got to stop in to Joshua James, one of our good friends who is the owner of the Ocean Beach Cafe in San Francisco, one of the most prominent, I would say, alcohol-free bottle shops. And he's just a driver, and mover, shaker forward in the alcohol-free space. So
Hmm.
he had tasted this wine that they call Geronimo. And as soon as he tasted it, he's like, okay, I want to be a part of bringing this to the United States. And so we got to try it a year ago. So, that's one thing that we actually adjusted with the wine tour was we added that stop because they're based outside of Vienna,
Okay.
which was our final stop. And, they've really taken the path of like, we're going to make the best alcohol-free wine. So they're using, some of their best vintages of wine, and then they're de-alcoholizing it. There's a few processes and a lot of innovation happening there that, I know it's going to come here too, but I will say we learned, because Kendra, I think we've talked about this before, like everybody says, the alcohol-free beer is really on point, right? There's multiple brands that make very good alcohol-free beer. And before this trip, I thought, like we had maybe chatted before, it's because it's easier with beer. But here's what I learned there, and it's travel is such a fun experience because when you go to that place, you just understand it a little bit more. And we've been actually, Kendra, working on making alcohol-free beer for at least 20 years. No, it wasn't great 20 years ago, but they've been working on it and, developing technologies and different processes for 20 years. Wine has not been that long.
Right.
Although we did visit one of the original guys that actually started doing it in 1908. That was just the start. But for example, I'll go back to that first day, Lights, but we visited other wonderful wineries too, like Anton, Carl Jung. I'll think of the other one later. But, Lights, they've been working on it for about 9 years.
Wow.
And so that's longer than most of us here in the United States. But he's told us, Mr. Lights came and talked to us and said, it's just knowledge. They think it's going to be a lot better even next year. And I'm telling you, they're doing a great job already.
In quantity or in awareness?
No, in taste.
Okay.
Taste. And in my mind, I think that's important in driving this movement and the alcohol-free beverage industry forward. We are getting a lot more mocktail menus. I don't know about your area. I feel like Florida and California are a little bit similar. Like we weren't first
Right.
on the train here. It is coming, but they're not always great. I know
Well,
you
and
must.
it's mocktail or it's maybe a major chain like O'Doul's or, but the alcohol-free wine is not offered. And yeah, I have a friend that owns a restaurant and he lets me bring in my alcohol free and he will put the bottle on ice and it's just so nice to have that option. But yes, it's buying good wine at a meal. And when I first stopped drinking and I wrote down a list of why I like to drink, a lot of it was flavor. I mean, kind of like a Coke goes with pizza, wine went with a lot of my meals or whatever. And to have that flavor profile available. And a few
Yeah.
people are like, well, I wouldn't spend that much money on something that doesn't have alcohol. But I did learn in the process that when you de-alcoholize it, you actually lose some of the volume. And that's why it does tend to be pricier.
Yeah, it's more expensive than their alcoholic wine with alcohol. Yeah.
But I think, didn't you have
We had
Groovy?
Joyous alcohol-free wine in Palm Springs.
And
And
is Joyous de-alcoholized? Because I know Groovy is not de-alcoholized. That's
Joyous is de-alcoholized.
okay.
Yeah, and she's out of Seattle, and she's won a lot of awards too. So
It's one of my favorites. Yeah.
definitely Jessica Sealander and her family are doing a fantastic job with that. And, honestly, I wish it were more prevalent, more available. It's coming. We're getting brands in Sprouts markets here, but it's, if I'm honest, it's not always the best brands. So I do have a list of Susie's favorite non-alcoholic wines because people have asked me quite a bit. So if anybody's curious, just reach out to me on Instagram later, and I'm happy to just shoot that over to you. And I'm going to have to update it, though, a little bit. I have a couple more to add
Favorites, right?
after this last trip. I just have to see, which ones are actually available
In
right
the
now in
United
the
States.
US, because they aren't all, but, I did bring back 13.
So how many did you taste that were not bubbles? Because I have found the bubbles definitely taste better to me, and finding still wines is, they're, yeah,
Yeah,
you know what I
they're
mean?
yes, and I think it is easier to get that flavor profile with bubbles. So, when in doubt, I would say if you're not sure of a brand, go with the bubbles. That's a good call. But we actually tasted a lot that weren't bubbles. I'm going to say over half that were not bubbles, and it is a bigger challenge. It's going to be probably a little more expensive, but they were honestly fantastic. Yeah. I brought home only one bottle of bubbles, and there were several bottles that I brought from Geronimo too, because I know it, I know that's hard to get right now. Yeah, it's gonna
So
be a good Thanksgiving here, Kendra.
yeah, I need to stock up for
We're
sure.
gonna have good wine.
So you said in the beginning you didn't really broadcast it that you weren't drinking, and then of course you made the cover of After magazine. So when did I know? So how did you come up with the concept of the Sober in the City weekends? What was that the beginning of it?
Yeah, so that was actually we did the first one in January of 2022. We called it Sober in the City. It was simply a dinner party here in downtown Long Beach. And I didn't really know if it would pan out. I actually put a $500 deposit at my favorite restaurant, and they told me if this doesn't happen, you can use it to dine in our restaurant. It was a different time then. But it did happen. We ended up with 45 people coming to Long Beach, and we had Liars alcohol-free spirits, and I met with their rep in the restaurant, and we came up with a little zero proof cocktail list, and it was so much fun that just kind of walking into that dinner party, and you knew that everything was all set for you. Don't expect that every night, although I would like it, and it's happening more often. But it's just sort of that place where you can take an exhale. And Peggy Cooney, who you mentioned before, who is the author of This Side of Alcohol, just a nice, easy read, very personal and relatable. So definitely recommend that. But I met her at that very first one. She was our keynote speaker at our second event in Sacramento, and I haven't let go of her yet. So she's really we're partnering in this, and we did call it Sober in the City. And I'm not the biggest fan of the word sober
Sober.
for myself, but I really do think it sounds fun in that context, Sober in the City. So it sort of grew from a dinner party into a whole weekend experience where you do get a travel experience to a different location. We've never gone back to the same place once. So Friday afternoon, we have a meet and greet. We are learning every single time because Peggy knows the stats on this, but I think we've done about 10 of these weekend experiences. So yeah, we're always trying to learn and getting feedback. So we're making some adjustments, but we will be in Colorado Springs next May. But it really is a whole weekend. Our goal is, yes, to have an elevated travel experience for there to be lots of different opportunities to connect in maybe smaller groups, maybe larger groups.
Hmm.
So not all of us are super comfortable speaking up in a room full of 100 people or so. There's breakout sessions. There's like last time we had sober yoga girl Alex come to Scottsdale and have some yoga sessions. We'll probably do some kind of walk or a hike some fun meals and mixer sessions on Friday. We try to err on the side of party, not conference. We do get accused of both. I think there's a lot of learning opportunities, and my favorite part of the entire weekend, you didn't ask, but I'm going to tell you, is it's the Saturday night dinner party. That's, I think, the piece that is close to my heart, where I just want us to have this beautiful, elevated experience. Last time Annika, the founder of Groovy, was there, and she helped us design the cocktails. We had some kind of spritz, which had the Groovy Prosecco, and I think it was the Ritual, that the orange aperitif. So it was just a special evening where, you can have an opportunity to dress up and do something fun and have that beautiful cocktail without any regrets in the morning.
And typically a dance floor.
That's right, Kendra. That's where I'd like to meet you. Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, we definitely had a lot of comments like, "Oh, I've never danced alcohol-free before." And honestly, I always love to dance, so that is where you'll find me Saturday night. Yes.
So you really have connected with a lot of owners of the alcohol-free beverage industry, the Joyous, the Groovy, and exposed your attendees at these weekends to some new beverages. It was interesting. I went to Vegas for a Keller Williams conference, and in part of my wellness community, we did a little function with a sound bath and just kind of decompressing from a crazy conference. And there was a local beverage company that was just kind of getting off the ground that came out and supported our event. And it was just like, wow, it's like all these little startups of alcohol-free beverages are just kind of popping up. So how do you find them? I mean, how are you connecting with these companies?
I guess how I am personally connecting with them is really on Instagram. That is, yeah, how I have really, once you start following one, or if you just talk about it on your phone, the alcohol-free beverages or alcohol-free spirits or alcohol-free wine, they're going to pop up. So I've had some fun conversations that way. I do try also things. We don't really have a local non-alcoholic bottle shop right now. I don't know how that is for you. I think it's been a little bit hard for those smaller businesses as the alcohol-free beverages have come into the mainstream stores. Like Sprouts here in our region is the best for offering multiple non-alcoholics. So I'll try their wines that they have or different ready-to-drink alcohol-free cocktails. And many of them are quite good. It really does make such a big difference.
Well, I also remember you being at the airport, because you travel a lot, being at the airport in the, what is it, the Delta Sky Miles?
The Delta, yeah. And I think, yeah, they had like an alcohol-free margarita or something.
Yeah, they had like Ritual or something, some zero proof
on the menu, and it was good. And yeah, it kind of makes you feel like, hey, we have arrived. It's, again, I do think it's regional, and it does need to be good, or people are not going to move forward with it. They're not going to pay for it. They might order it one time, and that was a good one. So I would like to be sort of a part of that education for restaurants as well. Typically, when they do have a zero proof menu, I will usually order something just to support the fact that they have it there. And I'll try to make an encouraging comment if it's not good. Sometimes it's not good. And
well, there's a brand that's been around forever, and they have an alcohol-free version. And I laugh. I'm like, I wouldn't even drink the brand that has alcohol. It's so bad. Why would I drink their alcohol-free option? So yeah, it has better.
Yeah. So I think we have to continue to ask. I do, like you, I too do sometimes bring my own alcohol-free wine. It is something that I enjoy having with a meal, and I
Hmm.
offer to pay a corkage. A lot of times they don't charge me because they realize that they do not have it available on their menu. So, I'll often say, well, I look forward to when I can order this off your menu. That's a nice option though that you can really always do. I know
Right.
sometimes,
You just have to ask.
yeah, but every restaurant has a corkage fee available. So even if they charge you, and honestly, they are doing, I understand if they don't do it for free. They don't always, but they are providing you a nice service. Like one time I know I went to a nice restaurant and, they took the bottle, it was sparkling, and they brought out the cooler and the glasses,
Hmm.
which, they have to wash and all that. So it was just a nice experience. And I think that's fair to pay something for that. Of course, again, it would be nice if we could just if we could just order that.
It'll
So
get there. It'll get there
yeah,
with the
yeah.
efforts that you are putting in and everyone in this little alcohol-free world. So you did this over in the city and it had this structured weekend somewhat. So our trip to Bali was the first kind of different trip, correct?
It was, and that, that was so fun that you came and you brought your friend Amy and some other gals that we got to connect with. So a small group travel experience, which is is just different. So there was, I think, about 10 of us to experience Bali. Why did we pick Bali? I had been there before and I love Bali still.
Mhm.
Hope to go back again one day. Another reason, too, is they're very conducive to the alcohol-free lifestyle. And I did remember that when I was there a few years before, I was in my dabbling, my cutback phase. They did have mocktails there on the menu that were good
Mhm.
because, so many of their herbs, I guess, and spices really lend to a natural, beautiful, wonderful mocktail experience. And they were doing a pretty good job of that. They don't really have, and I think really in some ways they don't really need much of the alcohol-free beverage industry there because they have such rich food culture there and all the different teas, and then the way they can blend that with the all the fresh produce and
Mhm.
seasonings there, I think was really a beautiful experience. And I remember that was the first time that I met Alex in person, so
Sober
Rio.
yoga girl, yeah.
And she was explaining to me, which is interesting, that in Ubud, which they consider kind of the spiritual center, that it's kind of normal not to drink alcohol. Like they're always just getting together in a cafe or, meeting up for a bike ride, and it's actually the norm. So, it was fun to be around that atmosphere just for a bit.
Well, and Mari, her business initially, the travel company or agency, what
Yeah,
she
Soul Bliss
originally had
Journey.
sober in her name, right? In her company name.
Yeah, I think she did, and I think she changed it to Soul Bliss Journeys, which is, I think that works well. She, I think we're her favorite people, Kendra. That she does have a heart for sure for alcohol-free travel experiences, but she organizes travel for other people as
Hmm.
well. Um, so. Yeah, so we do host the Sober in the City weekends, which I feel like is sort of a palooza experience of the alcohol-free lifestyle. That's the way I feel. And then we like to host a small group experiential travel at least once a year. I hope that, grows into perhaps a
Hmm.
little bit more often. So yes, Bali was the first time and such a fun time. I got to meet your
Hmm.
friend Amy and hang out with her and yeah, all the
Yeah,
other girls.
such a great trip. So, at what point did you create the the community where it's like a Monday, Thursday call? How did things evolve into that?
Yeah, so I think it's been a couple of years. Again, for the stats, you'll have to check with you'll have to get Peggy on. Uh, but it's been a couple of years and we have adjusted. And I think mainly, we got kind of comments and requests of, like, can we get the contact list of people, or how do we stay connected in between? Because not everybody is in the position where they can travel. You have heard that travel is something definitely near and dear to my heart, and it always has been. So I didn't want to give that up at all, even though, again, for probably close to 30 years, I thought, well, why would you want to go on a vacation without drinking alcohol? That wouldn't really be, you may as well wait until you're drinking alcohol until you're off break again. So that not everybody is in a position right now in this season of their life to travel. And so our basis is, I'm alcohol free or seriously sober curious. Now what? Like, how do we navigate this? How do we connect? So we do have 2 connection calls a week at 6:30 in the morning Pacific time. So it's a little later for you, but yeah, and I know, that presents its own challenges too. It's kind
Right.
of nice that it's later, but sometimes you're busy. So anyhow, we do 2 a week. So some people come once or twice a month and some people come almost to every call. So they're a little bit structured, and our goal is to make them highly interactive. Been a fun way, and the way I feel about it is actually it's just getting more fun. We we have more members now, but we're still pretty small and cozy, and so it's really fun to connect and see how others are looking at things. Like, I don't know, last Monday we talked about what your words mean and what words have meant to you in the past. How sometimes what you say it's never forgotten comes
Mm-hmm.
once it comes out the lips, right? It was fun to hear people's lens, and there's always that piece of it that comes up with how it is without drinking alcohol. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun to connect, and I believe gives people really an opportunity to connect if they're not traveling right now, or also to get to know people so that it is a little bit more comfortable that if you go to one of our events, you've seen a few people
Mm-hmm.
online that will be there. Not
Right.
not everybody will be there, but that does help, doesn't it?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it when you've been when you've been communicating online and then you meet in person for the first time, it's so beautiful. And then it's so nice to maintain that relationship online.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So that is something we didn't know any of this was going to happen.
It's
Right.
crazy that the pandemic pushed so many communities online that have blossomed and really made a difference.
Yeah, it's made available a whole way, another avenue for us to connect. Technology certainly has its good and bad, doesn't it? So,
Yes.
some of it drives us crazy, so we have to take the good parts too. I think where we can connect and have more of a comfort level, because hey, I think if everybody's honest, everybody has some degree of social anxiety. I know it's more for some people, and probably if you land a little bit more on the introverted side, it lands there a little bit more for you. And
Yeah,
we've seen
I was definitely more extroverted when I was drinking, and I've realized that it's my social battery. I need the alone time to re-energize. I am very social, but I definitely need the alone time to refresh that social battery for sure.
yeah.
So what's I want to say what's next, but do you look at a 5-year plan? Are you intentional on where you're going with this? Like, I know Peggy came on as your chief connection officer, so do you have planning meetings of what we are looking towards?
We have. And I will say though that it is challenging because, and here's the reason, because this space has changed so much in 5 years that it is hard to visualize where it's going to be 5 years from now. There, there's going to be travel, there's going to be connection, and how that all works together, I'm not sure, but we definitely have things on the books for 2026, which, yeah, so I'll go jump in to say what's next, which will be our Sober in the City event. We'll have one weekend event next year, which will be May 15 through 17 in Colorado Springs, which is
Nice.
beautiful spot. And okay, this is, it's kind of a secret. It hasn't gone out yet, even to our email list or anything, but we believe that, this experience that we just had in Germany, and I have had people over the years, should we do a trip to like the Napa Valley? Should we have some kind of, wine tasting experience? Should we take back the wine country in a way? Because I will say that wine tasting, I've done that multiple times, Kendra, actual
In
wine
Northern California,
tasting.
right?
Yes, and I have done it multiple times since I've been alcohol free as well. And I do have to admit, as I'm pretty out there and I've tried a lot of travel experiences, it is a little bit challenging, and I don't highly recommend that all the time, especially if you're not pretty strong. So I didn't know that that experience would be in Germany. So, but it was so wonderful. That's some of the silver lining of all of this, I think, is like meeting people like you and, hearing about the people that you've met. I love to hear, and see like people that meet at Sober in the City, or, or through your events too, and then to see them connect and collaborate and do all of that. This trip was such a strong experience, and I think we will be doing one in a year in Australia. You,
Ooh,
yeah, how about
sign
that?
me up.
Yeah, so next October, details to follow. We're kind of fine tuning things, but and if you recall, they've been ahead of the game too. That's where in the very beginning, Liars came out of Australia, and that was
Right.
really the first alcohol-free spirit. They made a version of alcohol-free wine. Gießen is out of
Hmm.
Australia too, and that's actually a nice quality option. I think that I can find often in the market
Yeah,
now, even at Trader Joe's has it. So we're pretty excited about that too.
that is really exciting. It, yeah, I love what you just said about really not knowing like where this movement is going. And my first thought was, you're just a pioneer in this whole sober, curious community. I mean, really, you know?
So yeah, it's kind of crazy to be, I think, yeah, and we're here together with you and with many other people that are exploring, but I think we are still towards the front of the train. And eh, again, like it's hard. I'm trying some days, Kendra, to imagine what it's going to be like. But, it's important to me. I realized too on this last trip that it's more than a trip. It was a great trip. My sister asked me how it was like, on a scale, and I'm like, okay, just stop it now. It's way over 10. Because, and I think for many of us too, like you saw what they were doing, you saw their passion, how hard they were working, and you felt validated. Okay, it is nice to hear somebody that's working hard on something that you're passionate about also. So it was special to learn from them, and it just motivated me to make that a little more of a part of the travel experience, like, to just integrate that in. So I think that will fit nicely into Australia. And I believe the last day, I think we're going to do like a tour of the non-alcohol free beverage company. And then I think we'll have our final dinner down there near Melbourne with the penguins. Yeah.
Wow.
Doesn't sound bad, right? We got to start, saving a little bit every month now, and yeah. So
That's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just really appreciate you taking the time. I know you just got back to the States. You're probably not even on the right time zone. But I was really excited just to hear about the Germany trip and just everything that you've got going on.
Yeah.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you, Kendra. It's always fun to chat with you, and I look forward to seeing you
I
in the
know. I
next year
can't wait.
in person. All right. Thanks a lot.
Thanks for listening to Find the Connection. I hope today's episode gave you some helpful insights and inspired you to get involved in your community. If you enjoyed the show, please subscribe and leave a review. It helps others find us. And if you're interested in making a move or learning more about Northeast Florida, reach out to me anytime. Let's keep finding the connection together. Until next time, stay connected and keep thriving.